Well, we have been asking for your Obamacare stories this week, and we have been flooded with them on Facebook.com/The Kelly File and on Twitter @Megyn Kelly. Use the hashtag KellyFile. People have been writing in nonstop, including Bill Lawrence, who's a former owner of a successful car wash company that he built from the ground up 22 years ago, and he wrote to us. His post reads, "Megyn, I know you don't read every one of these, but my story rings so true to what you've been reporting on. On June 26th, my partners and I had to sell our company because we could not afford the almost $400,000 in either penalties or fines or insurance premiums that we were going to have to pay as a result of Obamacare." Well, we did read his Facebook post, and we read virtually all of the other ones. Bill Lawrence joins me live. Now, Bill, thank you so much for following us and for sharing your story with us. I understand you built this company from the ground up. You employed 290 people, and you sold the business, you say, because of Obamacare. Why?
Well, Megyn, we were forced to take about 200 of our associates and either provide them health insurance coverage at a significant cost, or more likely pay the penalty if they didn't go into the plan, or pay a higher penalty if they went into the exchange. And the math was somewhere around $400,000, and we just don't have those type of margins to pay that type of penalty.
So when people have been talking about, well, a lot of employers are going to do the math and they're going to say, hey, it's cheaper for me to send them to the exchanges and pay the penalty versus pay for their insurance, they sort of forgot this other option, which is, or an employer like you might say, I cannot afford either option. I'm getting rid of my company.
Yeah, Megyn, it was sad because, back in March, in anticipation, we started taking our employees to part-time associates under 30 hours.
For the very reasons stated in that piece that we just did.
Absolutely.
So when you sold the business, Bill, did the new employer keep the staffers, and did the new employer start doing any of the things that you had to do in terms of part-time work?
Well, Megyn, I don't know exactly for sure. I believe that they've continued taking the staff to a part-time staff basis. And we were doing it because we started doing it in March, because you have a certain look-back period in which you have to average what the employee looks like. Are they a full-time or a part-time?
Right. It doesn't just start like, okay, on this date forward, you have to start insuring people. As an employer, you have to consider the look-back that the law is going to have.
Right. Right. There's a look-back period. So we started doing it. And Megyn, sometimes what people don't talk about is what is the effect that has on the associates, because they still have to feed their families. They still have to provide income, for their households. And now they're working 2 jobs.
Right.
And what happens to the quality of their life?
And what happens to the people who you were insuring? Because while many of the employees were not getting insurance, some were, and now they've lost their jobs with you and lost the plan that you were offering, I take it.
Well, the company that acquired us agreed to keep most of the employees, if not all of the employees. I don't know that all of the employees have continued with them. We had a high percentage of people who had been with us for many, many years. I don't know if they continued to stay on with the new company.
Mm-hmm. Bill, I know that you built this car wash company up, Bubbles Enterprises, the aptly named Bubbles Enterprises. And I know you say, look, you paid your employees more. They weren't minimum wage. They worked at the car wash. You paid them more above minimum wage, thinking, okay, I'll give them a little extra for something like health insurance. You thought that got it done. The government disagreed. Your thoughts on having, your livelihood directly affected, from the sound of it, based on what the politicians in Washington felt was best for you?
Well, Megyn, most of the people that we employed were young males who were in great health, who didn't want insurance and can't afford it. And now the government's going to either penalize them and fine them, make them get health insurance. And it's it's a train wreck just waiting to happen.
Bill, I know that in addition to being a successful businessman, you are a Republican. You've raised some money for some Republicans in the past. Is this a partisan thing? Is this about disliking President Obama?
No, it has nothing to do with President Obama. This law is not a good law. I have never seen a set of laws that have impacted small businesses the way this law has. Everything from the regulatory process to hiring consultants. Just so you understand what the law is, I mean, we know that our congressmen and senators didn't read it, so how are we supposed to understand it?
Listen, Bill, thanks so much for being here, and goodbye to Bubbles Enterprises. I know you sold to Mr. Car Wash, so hello to him. Thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah. Thanks, Megan.
We want to hear your Obamacare stories, good, bad, or in between. So far, we have received thousands of them. And as you can see, 2 nights in a row now, we've had real people on who have tweeted us their stories or updated posts on Facebook.com. So you can go to Facebook.com/The Kelly File, or you can send me a tweet at Megyn Kelly, hashtag The Kelly File. We are reading them. I read them, many of them personally, on my iPhone, on my way home from work, on my way into work. I read this thing, and I hear a lot of the stories. And we're interested in what you're going through. Keep them coming.